The carelessness that she is walking in today, therefore, is not new. It is not new. I'm not surprised with her ways. Maybe I've developed such a shock absorber concerning my mom that maybe that's the reason why I'm able to survive all of this aloofness, this apathy. It's because it's inbuilt in me to survive it. It's just that I'm suffering in a way that I never expected to ever suffer. I guess that's what God would have me go through for the sake of the gospel, and it's my test, it's my trial. Without being able to make my own money and everything, it's just subjugated me to the tyranny of that which I had been always trying to escape since I was a child. I have been trying to get out of the apathy of the black community since I was a kid. I had a whole set goal and a mission to get out of this. And I had somewhat prospered to a certain extent, up to a certain point, and then I got thrown back into this trash again. And so when I say my family members, I cannot and what they're doing, but the fact that they think they're gonna get away with this is just out of this world astronomical. And black people, the fact that you and expect people to give you respect even though you're so disrespectful and you lack respectability. You lack respectability, and your idea of tough love is basically neglect and abuse. That's what's good. And even when a person doesn't even need tough love, you give it to them anyway. Like, what in the world has warranted so much tough love in children? What have they done to deserve you being so tough? Like they're children, for crying out loud. Anyway, whatever. That was the one event. There was another time when I came back from school sick. I had already started to get sick like around after school, right? So closer towards the end of the day, I was already getting sick. And so I was feeling funny in class. And again, feeling funny in class, nothing in me thought to stand up and ask the teacher, ma'am, can I go to the sick room in the school? Can I please chill? Because we are always so scared of authority due to the way that we get trained as children in our households, in our homes. We cannot regard our pain. We cannot regard our sorrow. And so even if you've got like a white teacher, you can't be like, ma'am, I'm sick, because you just expect ma'am to react the way that your uncle would react, the way that your mom would react. No, are you really sick? No, sit down. So I sat in class, feeling very uncomfortable, realizing, however, that it's almost after school. So I just kind of dragged myself through the mud. That's what's good. After school came, and then we went on the Kumbi to go to, what do you call this? To aftercare. I told you guys that I used to go to aftercare. That was like this creche next door to where it is that we used to stay, because I wasn't trusted with the house key. So, and I had to wait for my older sister to come home from school. So I would chill in that aftercare. And I had a friend that was also a member of the aftercare, and she lived a house next door to me. We went to the same school, same grade, etc. This girl, I was sleeping on her lap in the Kumbi that was taking us to the aftercare, the transport that was taking us to the aftercare. I lied, slept on her lap. Like I told you, kids got it. Kids cared in a way that adults didn't. So my friend was busy like, Askisine, you'll be fine type setup thing. And same friend, later on we grew up and she became a witch. Anyway, unfortunate, like I said, they get seared. They like over time they just lose that je ne sais quoi spunk. That's why the Bible says the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. It belongs to children, like proper. Like children took care of me when I was a child. Like, unacceptable. But yeah, the fact that, like, anyway, let's move on. When we finally arrived at the aftercare, I couldn't play the way that everybody else was playing, and there were these two kids, like a white boy and a white girl from the same family, and then another girl that was in another primary school, also a white girl, and then me and my friend. There were like 5 of us, right, that were like more or less the same age at this aftercare, and our parents would pick us up. That were from primary school, because everybody else there was a creche, remember, for children, for babies, for toddlers, for those for kids who had yet to enter into school. But the aftercare could also take care of primary school kids. There was a section of it that took care of primary school kids, and there were only 5 of us, so it was not like a whole bustling aftercare after school program for primary school children. We were only like 5 or 6 of us, and we used to play with each other. Oh, and the 6th child was also there with us. They were the ones that, were like, I was sick. I was so sick that at the aftercare, one of the teachers there told me to lie on the sponges for kids. You know how they make kids just lie on the floor and sleep all day in crash type thing. They saw that I was sick, and so since my sister was not yet back, I lay down on the couch, on the sponge on the floor, and when I was there, my friends kept coming in on some, "Hi Karabo, are you okay? Are you gonna be okay? I'm sorry for being mean to you yesterday. I'm sorry." Yeah, basically like fights on the school playground. They were apologizing to me, so they took care of me. Right? They kept on going to my house where I stayed because I asked them to see if my sister was home because I wanted to go home and sleep in my own bed type thing. Ultimately, my sister eventually got home. It was discovered that she was home, and they knocked on the door. My sister opened, and they were like, "Sister, your sister is very, very sick at school. You know, she's busy vomiting. I was vomiting a lot, like some red stuff was coming out of me. I was vomiting." Very well, so I run. Then my sister then runs and comes with my friends from aftercare and picks me up. So basically nobody carried me because they were too small to carry me, but they were just basically helping me along. I get home and I start to sleep now, right? My friend, one of my friends, the one that on whose lap I was sleeping, calls my mom in the office from that number that is on the landline type thing. And she's like, Karabo's very sick. I was vomiting, right? Some red substance. And I believe the reason why the red substance was coming out of my mouth was because I'd eaten some red sweet. So I think nyoko, like some, you know, that popcorn, colored popcorn, caramelized popcorn with red dye. I was eating something like that. I had eaten something like that earlier, and so when I vomited, it looked like blood, but it wasn't blood, right? And this friend is like, Karab was on my phone landline, right? My mom is also home, not my mom, my sister is home and everything. It's like Karab was vomiting blood. At that stage, my mother hung up the phone on this friend of mine and rushed home. She rushed home because she was like, "Oh my goodness, my daughter's vomiting blood. Whoa, that's intense." So my mom didn't want me dead. It's not like if I passed away, she would be like, she actually was glad to have a child around. It had to get to a point where things are so bad that a person is vomiting blood for her to actually show care. So she rushed home. And when she got home and realized that I wasn't vomiting blood, because now all that I was vomiting still perpetually, right? But that thing that had come out of my system that I had eaten, now that it was gone, when she saw that the color of my vomit was not blood, she then got upset again. On some, you took me out of work for this? So what? It had to be blood? I had to be coughing blood. I had to be vomiting blood. I had to be basically almost terminal. I had to be internally bleeding for you to care. Just a basic vomit is not enough for you to care. She was upset. She was initially freaked out, and when she got home and realized that my friend exaggerated on the phone, she then got upset at me. And the only people who took care of me, the remaining of the week, I never went to school for the rest of the week. My friends came every single day from aftercare, and they'd be like, "Hi, girl, are you okay?" and whatnot. Kids took care of me. My older sister and the friends I had from aftercare, they all took care of me until I was recovered. That's what's good. That was another event of mine. There was yet another event that happened, and this one will always etch in my mind. It was again at night. I was vomiting. Because kids vomit, I guess that's just what they do, right? Yeah, this time around I was vomiting, and because I was hurting, my body was sore, my stomach I don't know what in the world was going on, and it was like 1 a.m. in the morning when this started happening. I was so sick that I was like, can't deal. I woke my mom up at that 1 a.m. in the morning. I went into her bedroom and I was like, and she was upset that I had to wake her. And get in the car and drive to the clinic. And it's like, woman, you shouldn't have had children. Because you're gonna have sleepless nights. You're gonna have to drive a child to an ER, an emergency room, at 3 a.m. in the morning and still clock in for work the next day. Like, that's just how parenting works like that. Why did you get married? Why did you have children? Like, yesterday, I was busy saying to myself, after washing the dishes, some people don't deserve to have children. I was like, here it is that I'm sitting at 39, longing to be a mom. Because I'm prepared to put in the time. And yet there are people who have got 10 kids and they cannot love them. For whatever reason, they are just struggling to love them. It's like there are so many barren women who would take your child any day and give them a good home. It's unfortunate that that's not happening. Some of the worst people in the world sometimes are given children, and then some of the best people in the world are struggling to have kids. It's like just an imbalance, a lack of justice. Anyway, whatever. My mom should not have had kids. She should not have had kids. And look at how it is that I'm put in a position now to never have any of my own, despite having this for mindset. Like, some people just should not have you just sleeping around all over the show until you have a whole bunch of babies that you don't even care that much for. It's an epidemic. It's a problem. Anyway, whatever. So with this this situation happening in this wee hours of the morning, this 1 a.m., wake her up, right? There was a medical center that was open 24 hours a day. It wasn't quite a hospital, but it was a medical center. And it was 24 hours a day open, and it's not far from where it is that we used to stay. So go Winchester Hills. So she drove us there, right? It's not like she took me to a hospital or way out of her way. It was like a 5-minute drive to that medical center, and because we got there at night, it was empty-ish, more or less, type thing. The doctor was tired himself. It was 1 a.m. in the morning, so he did not take all the blood, he did not take all the urine, he did not do everything that he needed to do to figure out what's going on. He wasn't mean, but he was rushed. That doctor, right? When he saw me, he was like, she's vomiting, so he just gave me pills to curb the vomiting, and also an injection, into my buttock or whatever, and that he did like let me go. And because the doctor took it so lightly, like it was nothing much, like I was just another child vomiting, and tomorrow I'll be okay. Just vomit it all out and then eat something, get fluids, and you'll be cool. Like I said, did not take blood, did not take urine, did not check the liver, nothing. Like proper. Anyway, whatever. So within like 40 minutes I'm out and I'm going home. My mom was upset. She was upset on some for mahala, because the doctor even agrees or there was nothing much going on with you. Then he gave me a doctor's note for a day or two off from school. So the next morning was school and I didn't go. My older sister went to school and my mom went to work, but I was still vomiting all night long. Nothing worked. All those pills that I took to the doctor came back out again. I was still vomiting. The man did not do any tests. So I was still sick like a dog. And the way that I was so sick, guys, the way that I was so incredibly sick, I couldn't just like let it go. I couldn't just let it go. So I called my mom on I'm not getting better, I'm still vomiting, like it's still really bad. And she was like, ugh, she was irritated with me, and she dropped the phone at work and came home. She forced herself to come home, and she was giving me attitude. A sick child. And you are not helping me put clothes on, even though I'm vomiting. You're telling me get dressed and then we'll go and see a doctor. We already saw a doctor yesterday, so I have to take out another how much in order for you to go and see a doctor again. I was on medical aid though. She was upset. Yeah, okay, so my mother's giving me attitude. She's not like, nobody's like stroking my hand. Nobody is patting me. Nobody's making me feel better. I'm lying down in the car as she's driving because I'm busy vomiting all over the show. There is a bucket in the car so that if I vomit, I should vomit into that bucket and not into, not on her car. And the way that I'm vomiting everything at this point, it's just foam. I'm not even bringing out food because everything is not sitting in my stomach. So I'm just vomiting foam and it keeps coming out over and over and over again. This time around, however, it was during the day and there was a different doctor on call. This doctor, he was communicated to that I was there already the night before, and my mom was also passing the doctor shade on some we already were here yesterday, but anyway, do whatever with this child. The doctor did what the doctor was supposed to do, and the doctor took all the test that he was supposed to do. He tested my blood, he tested my urine, and it turned out that I had a kidney infection. That if it was allowed to spread and do its thing for another day, I was facing dialysis and need for a kidney freaking transplant. I was literally on the verge of death. Whatever had poisoned my body had gotten so bad that if I had gone to the doctor one day later, I would have needed a kidney transplant and been put on dialysis. And there was also a risk of diabetes. That's what's good, yeah. He said that I'm a child. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, what, 11, 12, I don't know, one of those young ages. I'm still in primary school. Kidney issue. My kidney was failing. I might have needed dialysis. What is this? I also had they tested my urine and said that they have to go and check what's going on there in the laboratories, but it might come back with basically confirming that your kid is diabetic. And if at all I was a diabetic, I would then have had to go on a whole protocol permanently for the rest of my life of insulin and stuff like that. That's what was happening in my body. That's what was happening. And the sickness was so severe that, like I said, I would have been hospitalized and have had to be put on some kind of a donor list, a list for donation, of an organ. It was only when that doctor told my mom the seriousness of my condition, it was only then that she suddenly sobered and her eyes opened. Like I told you, it's not like she wanted me dead. It's not like she could not care less if I were to go in the ground. It's not like she was like, good riddance, I should have had an abortion anyway. It's that apparently, allegedly, I was throwing my toys out the cot by daring to vomit. My sickness is nothing much until a doctor tells you your child almost faced a whole kidney failure and could have died. That's when she was nice all of a sudden. That's when now, everything I wanted, she gave it to me. My body was craving oranges. Vitamin C, who would have known? So, I mean, God is amazing that way, right? Did not know that, or I needed a whole bunch of vitamin C, but my body was craving citrus fruits. So I asked my mom to buy me oranges, citrus fruits, a whole bunch of that, and she bought a whole lisaga, and she was kind. And because that sickness was so severe that I was off school the whole entire week, one of my friends came to visit me from next door, the one on whose lap I was lying down, and the friend helped quite a lot to get me out of bed because I was struggling to stop vomiting. I was struggling, but when she became kind to me, my mom, when she was now sweet, because my daughter could have died from a kidney illness, kidney failure type setup thing, it made me feel better. It literally made the recovery that much better. It made it possible for me to recover better because my mom was nice and she was caring and she was doting in a way that she wasn't before then. Because the first time around, the doctor misdiagnosed because he was in a rush to finish this thing. I was basically in danger and the sickness was evident, but I was being ignored until the right doctor did what was needed. That's the Black community for you. So, like, when I started talking, Lana, I said that Black people will ignore each other's pain and sorrow. They will ignore each other's failings or whatever it is that is a person that is sobbing. They will ignore them until the same person dies, or they get diagnosed with cancer and that's terminal, so they're dying. Only then will they rock up at your bedside, hey, Mngani wami unjani, visit you every day, talk to you sweetly. Only when you have passed away will they even try to jump into your casket and mourn as you die. So they ignore emotions and they ignore people's feelings. They ignore people's sorrow when they're still healthy and can be recovered. But when stuff starts to get terminal, do you understand? Then only they appropriately react. I don't want that. I don't want a family like that. I don't want to have friends like that. I don't want people that are going to visit me because I've got a cancer diagnosis and it's terminal. But for years you ignored me until it got to a point where I've got now terminal cancer. Now every mean-spirited random female in these streets is trying to say, Karabo, how you doing? Now every random silly guy that has ever had a crush on me is trying to be like, do you know I actually liked you back when we used to work at MTN? Why did you pass me shade then? Why didn't you greet me? Why was I shela? Why instead did you walk around me like I stank? They're exactly like my mom, like proper. There's gotta be a cancer, a kidney failure before you will treat me well when I'm sick, even though sickness in the run-up to is evident. My friend gotta tell you on the phone that I'm vomiting blood for you to rush home to deal with me and my sickness. And when you find out that it was an exaggeration, you then get upset with me. Upset at a person that is already sick. You have heard the way that I've been coughing throughout this conversation. And yet this morning I got a pile of dishes waiting for me. Light-headed, feeling a little bit uneasy. I gotta be resting all day, drinking fluids, doing what I need to do to recover, but instead they're all just walking around me like, whatever girl, it's not that bad. It has not graduated to a point where it's bronchitis. So a white kid gets a headache and is absolved from chores in the house for 2 weeks just because she got a headache. But in the Black community, that headache gotta be a brain tumor for you to be absolved from washing dishes for 3 days, because even when you're in remission, got cancer, during that remission, girl, there's still chores to be done in the house. Absolutely capitalistic, unemotional, apathetic, and you expect the world to respect you when you roam around like that. Husbands cheating on wives in the middle of terminal illnesses. Like, I can't. Like, I properly cannot deal. Can't deal. The worst one is the way that pregnant women and postpartum women are treated, who are still going through the modes of a body that has changed, that has been ravaged by hormones, that is also lambasted by stretch marks and a pooch that's like still there even though the baby is born. So a woman is in that very insecure state after giving birth, and then they're dealing with a husband that just doesn't quite understand that it's a sensitive emotional climate. They have compassion. Instead, he'll be telling this woman she's changing. Next thing, people are breaking up. Just an inappropriate response. So ever since I was a kid, I sought to get out of the mold of my very apathetic and unloving family. I did not want a man that is going to mock me after I've given birth to a child and I've still got that pregnancy belly even though the baby's out of my stomach. I did not want the guy that's going to get sick and tired of my moods or diss me when I'm heavily pregnant. That's what my dad did with my mom. I also wanted a man that's gonna love me, a man with whom I would be able to be affectionate with him in front of children, something that barely ever happens in the black community. Parents don't hug, don't kiss, don't hold hands in front of kids. It's like roommates living together. If you've grown up in a black household, your mom and your dad are basically like sister and brother. No affection shown. I made this observation when I was a child and I was like, I don't want anything to do with it. I want love. I want more. And I was working on it. And thankfully at the age of 26, I got saved and I asked the Lord to help me basically escape the grain of being a typical black person with a roommate for a husband instead of a true lover and children that are doted over, loved, and whose every ail and concern is regarded, so they don't find themselves feeling unloved for whatever reason. I wanted daughters who are going to be chased after when they're crying, even if they are crying for the 10th time in the day, because it is never okay to ignore the tears, especially of a woman, no matter how much she is always crying. You don't get to call her a crybaby. It's our emotions, it's what God gave us, and if you're sensitive, you are a blessed thing, because this world is calloused towards sensitivity. They don't care. And the sad thing about black people, especially black women, is that because of everybody making an observation of how much we don't care about each other, they also have no incentive to care for us. They also don't have an incentive to it's like they've imagined that charity begins at home. So everybody ignores the black woman because the black woman is ignored. Everybody ignores the black man because the black man is ignored. So essentially the only place that we can ever really truly recover back to love is within ourselves, because the moment a white conglomerate observes how much a black person is just left to die, they're like, it's what they do to each other, whatever. Nobody will give us love because we don't give it to each other. So essentially if you're a black person in this position, you're screwed, given that your own people are as defeatist as they are. Therefore, it appears it was naive for me to imagine that I could escape the grain of black insensitivity when I was a kid. I told myself that I wanted to get out of this, that I was going to find a man that was going to get it, that I was going to marry a man that was going to get it, that I was going to love children that don't quite know what it's like to be loved. And when I met my ex-boyfriend, it's like he was what I imagined was the right thing that I was looking for, because his family appeared to be compassionate towards each other and loving. And he also in and of himself was prepared to show me affection in a way that I longed for, and who cared about my tears. Yeah, but it lasted a good year. In a 5-year relationship, my tears were regarded for a year, and then he went cold like all other black people. So it's like, really, how screwed am I? How screwed am I? And now today, he is among the people that are just watching me suffer, having induced extra suffering into my life because of the observation of the lack of love that I endure at the hands of my family members. Every man for himself, very standoffish. So when I did finally find the different guy, he was different for 5 seconds. Must a person always just emigrate to the white community or the Asian community to find love? Must they always emigrate outside? Must you be an Uncle Tom if you're going to be loved at all as a black person? Must you have white friends and marry a white man and do all things like a white person just so you can get some kind of a semblance of a loving life where people are going to care when you so much as sneeze? When you have been missing for 3 hours already, there is a search party for you. Your phone has rung and there's 24 missed calls because nobody can find you. Instead of there being a dead body in an apartment that gets found after 3 days, and even then not by family. Just like it. Black people, you take pride in emotional abuse. That's basically what I'm getting at. You take pride in emotional abuse and disregarding the pain of people, and you subjugate other black people that would much rather not have to live like that to the default of that anyway. You subjugate the rest of us who want a different outcome to a typicality, given that we can only ever be with each other, given that everybody else does not care about us and there is nothing we can do to fix the grain. So you force a woman like me to basically end up settling for some cold-spirited, willing, random husband. Just take anything that comes your way. No regard at all for what I want. Because apparently I gotta settle, I gotta just take it in my stride. Everybody else that has made this observation that wants a different thing inevitably ends up in the loop of psychosis, in the unemotional climate of tears being disregarded, and a woman having to toughen herself, put a guard up and act like she does not cry. Just because, girl, if you're black, take it. Unless, of course, you are happy to never have any black friends, never have any, like, literally marry a white man, have nothing but white friends. Everybody in your entourage is not black. Because that's the only way that, I guess, if you forget your blackness and become a coconut, that you will have some semblance of a normal life where people actually regard your emotions. So if a person is in love with black culture, they're screwed. If they don't want to walk away from their roots to a point of not having any black people in their lives at all, they're screwed. So when you want to stick with your people, you must accept a lack of love. And when you don't want to accept this, you have got to basically allow yourself to look like an Uncle Tom. Have no one in your life at all that is black. Like, no one. And utaba, the only, like, dark thing in a crew of white friends, in a crew of, like, married to a white man. And everywhere you go, you're always doing, like, you start to listen to all their music and all that jazz just so you can get a little bit of love. And I don't want both of those things, where I'm now having to settle for loss of black culture because I am exhausted with black apathy. So I guess singlehood or isolation and solitude for the rest of my days is what's gonna go on. And my death is promising to be quite a devastating one, in the sense that I will be, I guess, rotting for 3 years before anybody finds my body. Because I'm not so annoyed and irritated and resentful of blackness that I would want nothing to do with blackness. I haven't gotten there, but I appear screwed because I'll never get the love I need from the black community. I'm not insistent on marrying a white man. Neither am I insistent on having nothing but white friends. It does not matter what I end up with. But I don't want to have to make an intentional decision to have nothing but white friends or nothing but Asian friends, just so I can avoid the apathy that dwells in the black community. I want to be able to call people that are reliable and not have some exploitative people see that I'm abandoned and so use that. They just keep using, but opportunistically, whatever they can in their favor. So, situation Nyaka, and when I woke up this morning, feeling better, but not so good that I could now be, like, for it to be business as usual. When I woke up to go and use the bathroom, and I was still heavily congested, but better than yesterday. Still phlegmy, but better than yesterday. And then I open the house, and I see a pile of dishes. I was like, yes, like it. Now I must just deal with this for the rest of my life. These people who will be upset at you because you called them. Given that you couldn't drive yourself to hospital, you call them and they imagine you as one who took them out their way, and then afterwards they will ask you for petrol money, like proper. You call a friend to drive you to the hospital, to the clinic, because you can't take yourself, and then they ask you for petrol money or for you to pay for their time. That's black people for you. Petrol, and you still have to think about the fact that you gotta pay for petrol. You gotta reimburse them. I can't. Like, I literally can't. And I feel so trapped. I feel so stranded, Nalabantu. I wanted to get out. When I came to Christ, it was the solution. Because the Lord was going to scan the earth on my behalf and find me friends. And find me family. That would ultimately give me what I want. And make it possible for me to be the kind of mother that cares about the emotional climate of a child. And that is prepared to drop everything just because a child is sneezing, never mind vomiting. I wanted to be bigger than that. I wanted to be better than that. And I took it to God in prayer because I made an observation of the apathy of the black community. I asked the Lord to help me find basically another man like me. A man just like me. A black man. When I asked the Lord for a husband, I asked for a black husband. But I asked him for a man that thinks like me, that understands there is a problem of love in the black community, but that intentionally wants to avoid the stereotype of his own upbringing. That he's not going to be his cold, like, ill-spirited, removed, dumbfounding husband that is going to at some point start ignoring my tears. And also raise children to be so scared of authority that they won't even want to ask for a bathroom break despite being pressed to pee. Or being told to sit down despite coming twice to a teacher to ask to go to the bathroom until he gets laughed at by everybody in the school, everybody in the class, because he peed in his own pants. I wanted different. I made these observations since I was a child, and I asked for something different. And then my family made a decision to bewitch the living daylights out of me so I don't go anywhere. My friends, basically when I wanted to escape the mold of black, this typical blackness, this mold of being typical in the black community, when I wanted to escape it, they were like, I'm sorry, you don't get to be the only one that is loved out here in these unloving streets. You don't get to be the only one respected out here in these unrespected streets. You don't get to be the only one, Karabo, having the lovely lifetime experience of a beloved woman, when the rest of us are in mean-spirited, horrible relationships. My friends bewitched me so I won't get married. My own mom came against my marriage prospects. The very doting sister that used to love me when I was a child, that got seared, that got taken away. Because now she's no longer a child and she no longer has got a heavenly mindset. My cousins, everybody is doing everything in their power to block me from finding the love that they won't give me. So the circus that they're in, I'm sorry, I'm not part of you, I'm not one of you. I want to get out. And it is precisely because I want to get out that you are holding me hostage. I don't want anything to do with you. I get to make a choice who I love, who I am with, who I spend forever with. While I can't choose family, I certainly can choose friends, and I can choose my own husband. They won't let me fly, even though when I am sick and barking like a dog the way I'm coughing, they still insist I wash a pile of dishes in the sink. They still insist I mop the kitchen floor. Kigula. When I need to be resting all day, I gotta spend an hour go kitchening just cleaning. That's who they are. And they're content with this life that they've started. They are content with this life that they've given me. This lack of care, this apathy. I've been trying to get out of this ever since I was a child. And then at 29, finally when I gave my life to Christ at 26, I prayed about it. And at 29, black people pulled the rug from under my feet so I can never find the love I asked the Lord for. Really, is it a gain for you to keep a person backward in that mold of insanity? Or is it a loss that you are so disgusting, black people, that you're so destructive, black people, that even when others are trying to escape the dystopia you live in, you succeed to pull them back in it so that they can live it out whether or not they like it? You pride yourselves in keeping me unloved when I was an unloved child. You pride yourself in it when I wanted to escape, break free, get out of the mold of your insanity. And you insisted I'm gonna stay in it because we're in this together. Misery loves company. Is that it? You are naive to think God won't judge you. You know what you remind me of, black community? You remind me of those protesters in New York or in London that stand for Hamas, who say, now that Israel is at war, that those kids that got killed at that festival were settlers and so they had to die. Others saying, while I wouldn't condone violence, Israel, they need to be handled. It's our way of fighting back. People protesting, standing with a group of people that are beheading babies. That's what's going on with Hamas. They're beheading babies. Other babies are being burnt. And they are protesting, saying it's a war. And in war, unfortunately, there will be casualties. That's what black people are like. They're like Hamas that way. They imagine that this is a war, and in any war there are casualties. So when a person writes you off as a whole thriving human being, as a necessary evil, a casualty of war, when your own people regard you as a casualty of war, where do you have to go to lodge your body? Where do you have to go? When they just look at you as into that's gotta be dropped dead because you don't understand what you need to do. You don't get what your roots are, your culture, ancestral worship yako. Everybody bewitching everybody. And if you're not partaking in this circus, this chaotic mess, where kids are now black youth is now among the single most suicidal demographic in the country. To you, it's like, in every war, proper, there are casualties. So all those black kids, those 17-year-olds that hung themselves because of a lack of love from mom and dad, they're just casualties for war. Because black people need to realize they must respect their roots. I don't want what you are. I'm not part of this family. I lost my family the day I got born again in Christ because they became barbarians. I already wanted to break free from the mold of what they are, but I would never have severed myself from them. But this time around, when I get my life back and understand I will, to a certain extent, the Lord has shown me, I will want nothing to do with them. I have been wanting to get out for a minute. Now you have solidified my conviction to a point of wanting to do nothing, to have nothing to do with black people anymore. Not all black people, just the ones that did this to me, and frankly, it's almost everyone that I've ever known. La senya. And insofar as motho asa senyetswa, asa sokole, asa sotlwa ke a lack of lerato. Lo mo foster kankane hore a latlhegelwe ke lerato. You're gonna go and grab a bright-eyed and bushy-tailed woman that's excited, coy, happy to look forward into the future and make her a typical angry black woman. Just make her bitter. You just keep manufacturing these horrible, ugly-looking black people all over the show that leave a lot to be desired in their character. Nothing of them are just like Hamas had cars, but there are people who stand with it. That's what's good. La seña. And everybody knows that. You destroy and everybody knows that. But you don't care. Your children fall sick, they vomit, and you get annoyed that you have to get taken out of work. That's how you are. Keep whatever you're doing, guys. I've never wanted it. I've always known I wanted more. And just when I was grabbing it, you pulled me back in. You reeled me back in. And then you forced me to embrace a family that I no longer even regard as family. Pizza. Kikula. The way if you're gonna make me wash pots when I'm coughing like this, I'm sorry, the moment I get even one iota of an opportunity to leave. I will leave and never look back. You might miss me, but at least you're missing me. Feeling guilty and uncomfortable instead of burying me, and then groveling on my casket, lilla, lihobola, diving into even my casket as it is being lowered at the cemetery. Even though you could have done everything in your power to prevent me from dying in the first place. Lagata la mafung, lagata what the beaches at the delle, go the memorial servicing. Tanagabi, to come and visit a person when they're in hospice. But when they were still thriving alive, bale right, skipping up and down Badala Chicago. You are passing her shade. That's you, black people. I'm not interested in having you visit me. On my deathbed, go spitling. Get diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Then. If you can't visit me now, if you can't see me now, if you can't love me when I'm still alive and I have another 50 years to go, hambani pumane zinja. Lele rata hampe ulo hobola lele dikele di tamadi. Snot and tran. Madi toko di tule di dikana mo matlonga lon. How about you say about toko feds? Or how about you say about toko fala? Ain't nobody gonna come visit me go hospice. That's what you must understand. That could not even love my life when I still had it in my body. You will not watch me die, black folk, understand that. And you will not patronize the living daylights out of me on my deathbed with all of your damn flowers when I am about to exit the earth. I will live. And I will live without you. And I will be happy. And you will not be able even to attend my funeral because you will be embarrassed when it does happen, however many years from now it is. Except that's not even gonna happen. I do believe the rapture's coming first, but I understand. I'm not gonna be a typical black funeral. Lankudla. That I didn't even know. But to busy go off that tears and crappling. Come memorial service, they're busy talking about like they knew me, or like they liked me, or like they cared about me. When in the run up to me dying, they were passing me so much shade. I'm sorry. You are not gonna get to do a single reading of the wreath at my funeral. You're not gonna get to read my eulogy. You're not gonna get to say Gara was succeeded by blah blah blah. When you took away even those that would have succeeded me, and my husband, you took away my prosperity and told that I was gonna do to go into the future and sunset and hop about like a little kangaroo. You wanna rock up at my funeral and dive and roll in the mud, go cemetery, properly getting yourself dirty, dunking yourself in the mud like a freaking donut in some chocolate on my funeral, at my funeral, when you could not even be with me when I was healthy. Hambani. Angizingeni mafu alona atlalang ka batho ba 100 200 300 we potso go motho na tseba batho ba ngata sona why ne ba le kae before I polai ne ba le kae. How are 500 people at my funeral when not even one came to check up on me when I was depressed? How is that even a thing? Let's get all the crocodile tears. It's not entrana etwang madi no gal ko mafunga batho le sa ba rata when they were still alive. Black people, I'm sorry, you are disgusting. Is that basic? I'm signing out in Christ's name, Quen K. Bye.